Okay,
Hello.
welcome one and all back to the most freaking dysfunctional videos ever on the internet about Google Ads.
Oh, I'm sure there's worse, but we're still
Nah,
like in that threshold.
I like to consider ourselves up there.
Mhm.
So today I wanted to kind of bring up a topic about if gosh, how do I even want to word this? Basically what it boils down to is how when you take on a new account, especially like a client that's more in the SMB space where they're smaller to mid-sized business, they're selling maybe, I don't know, like 5 to 10 million a year in revenue. Um, Taking on an account like that and how to how to go about structuring campaigns in a way for a business that probably doesn't have, or at least very likely doesn't have very much brand authority in
Yeah. You think
their
that we should say
in their
even less
niche.
than 5 million? Because I feel like that might scare some people. They're like,
Yeah,
"Oh no,
I
my
mean,
brand is
one
only."
we can, yeah, maybe in the 1 to 5 range. I feel like that's still pretty small revenue wise for a year for a business. That's small.
Yeah, if you're making less, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Do you have?
So yeah, all that being said, if you're kind of in that position, I think there's probably a lot of people listening that have managed accounts like that where you're trying to push products, especially if you're invested in more trying to get that brand more new business, new customers, um, and trying to be more top of funnel minded, where you're just trying to get in. You're more focused on new customer acquisition kind of stuff. That can be, I think, really hard for brands that don't have much brand recognition because you're asking a lot from those potential consumers to buy from a brand that they haven't really ever been exposed to or have any trust with. And so from my perspective at least, trying to trying to manage campaigns for a brand like that, you kind of get into a position where you need to be more bottom of funnel minded, but with the intent of the purchasers, if that makes any sense. Somebody help me. But
No, I think it does. So yeah, general concept is when you're dealing with larger brands, majority of the time they're having issues scaling out of what they are because they've exhausted their audience, which means they have to go build a new audience for their products. For example, if you're selling, I think it was a Ridge wallet that did this. Ridge wallet, for those of you that don't know, selling just wallets, right? And then they hit a point of where like we can't sell more wallets. How do we get out of it? So they needed to go find a new audience, and then they just got into all these other products to unlock those new audiences, right? But that's just a very broad example of what I'm saying, like exhausting an audience. But when you're talking about smaller brands of like mine's, Colby's, Andrews, you have a whole audience that is looking for your type of products, your products. Go after those guys first, exhaust that first before you start going after a wider net of audience, because people love to build their full funnel strategies, but they haven't even basically broken down their bottom of funnel. Like it's very important. I just think it's a budget split that should be set differently. And I'm gonna let Colby talk more.
I had a feeling. I had a feeling I might be called upon. I was swimming in the swimming pool with my children, and now I can't hear out of my ear. Not my swimming pool. I don't have a swimming pool. Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled programming to talk about where to start. And I'm gonna go even crazier and say, like, let's say I'm gonna include even the smallest of smallest businesses in here. I think we
Mhm.
just need to think of like where on earth do you start a fresh brand or someone with like a low presence? I think we all kind of get that fresh client, and it's like, well, what do I even do?
Yeah.
And if you say the problem is, or what's kind of funny is if you know too much sometimes, like say you've been at it for a while, you're kind of dangerous because you think the fundamentals are, okay, I need to scale top of funnel. Like I need to
Yeah.
get returning.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you? What you need to do is you need to spend money where it's going to actually drive that conversion. And I'm not saying, okay, go and spend your full entire budget on brand. But what I am saying is that you shouldn't look to start building up. So I would go like reverse engineer it. I think you start from the bottom of funnel. Of course, you have your brand campaign, and then you need to look at people that are your hottest users, not by appearance, but by in terms of intent. I didn't get a laugh from you guys. My God. Anyways, so yeah, your warmest audiences, you want to target them because they're the most likely to convert. If you have a limited ad budget, where do you want to put it? If you go very top of funnel, you have a small budget, you need to hit a certain like frequency or impression threshold before you're going to drive conversions. So from a limited budget perspective, it doesn't make sense to put like your $100, $80, $20 a day towards top funnel. You're never going to get any conversions. It's just too vast of an audience. Unless you really concentrate it, there's some people who can do that. If you can do that, that's great. But at the same time, you're still going to need some middle and bottom of funnel because the user journey is so vast. So I think you start branded side. If people are already searching you, that's fantastic. You want your branded audiences to find you as easy as possible. Now, don't go crazy with that. Still keep your branded budget like relatively low. But that like next step is kind of getting into the middle of funnel. And I would say, here's kind of the debate, right? Like, do you go out into search or do you start trying to retarget, right? And I think if you've been in the game for a little bit and you are trying to have proof of concept, whether it's a client, to your business, your marketing manager, the thing we're trying to do is show that we are spending money on marketing and it's actually doing something. Now, if you just go top of funnel, like I just said, it's not going to show anything. You're screwed. But I know if you've been a marketer for a while, you're like, well, if it doesn't mean anything if I am converting my bottom of funnel, but you want to have that proof of concept. So I would probably do brand. And then hopefully you've done something on the organic side. Maybe you've been able to generate an email list, your previous customer lists, website visitors. You're going to start to build all of your first party data, use everything that you absolutely can. And you're going to start creating, maybe you do like a demand gen campaign or something, low little burn there. So you can start hitting those people back over the head, people that already have that brand awareness to go after you. And then I would start to creep into that middle of funnel. Now, there's a good room for argument here because I'm talking about this theoretically, and I know that I don't do this in practice. I think what I most, yeah, right? It's like, hey, I actually don't even mean that. But it all makes sense. Like that bottom of funnel campaign will convert well with demand gen, right? It's previously converted audiences. I think I fall into that same trap where I'm like, no, I want to get like that, not super warm, but like I want to get someone who knows what they want, but they don't know what it is yet. And so I go into that middle of funnel from bottom of funnel. And then, you know, there's so many brands. Hopefully you've got competitors or whatnot that are doing something similar to you. Let them spend the money in top of funnel to allow someone to understand what their problem is and the product they need. And that's your turn to swoop in there and try to capture them that way. Of course, conversion rate is just going to get worse and worse as you go up the funnel. But theoretically, a user that starts at the top goes to the bottom anyways. If you think about that, that might be confusing. Maybe you know what I'm saying. But you build yourself from the bottom up instead. And that's a much better way to build out your budget. I feel like Andrew.
Yeah. I just wanted to expand on your point about kind of the middle of funnel people who know what kind of thing that they want, but they don't know where they're going to buy that thing yet. Because those people, in my mind, like they don't fall into that category of the super top of funnel people where they don't know anything yet.
They don't even know that yet. That's super tough. They don't even know they have a problem. They don't even know they need the back scratcher 3000. They didn't know there was a solution. And
they haven't even really thought about solving a problem of their back being itchy yet. Like they just have an itchy back.
They just thought that's the way you have to exist.
Exactly.
Perpetual itch.
And I think going way back to kind of my original thought about how to kind of speak to people when you don't have any kind of brand authority with your business at all. Those are the exact kind of people that I think give you the best opportunity to try and convert, because they already have that like purchase intent behind them, but they haven't necessarily made that decision about where they're going to buy yet. And if you are able to kind of just insert yourself in front of those kinds of people, whether that be, I don't think campaign type really matters at the end of the day. It's just about finding those audience pockets and figuring out how to kind of set up your campaign targeting in a way that can make sure that you're showing up in front of those people when they're actually making those searches. So I think it comes down to really just kind of dialing in. I mean, if you want to just look at it from a search campaign, just dialing in your search terms and just making sure that they're more middle of funnel than just very, very broad kind of top of funnel stuff. I'm rambling now, so somebody.
No, that makes sense. And then you were taking down the path I was going, but then I realized that things can go all in all sorts. And let's say if it's a small thing, you know, everyone, maybe it's just more in our circles, but you know, you hear like, oh, PMax is the devil, like don't do it, you're gonna die. But I would say if you're a smaller brand, like that might be exactly what you need, right? You think of all the signals you do have. And if you're at the point where you need brand authority, you need people to go to your page. If you're going to be good in the middle of the funnel, you need to have a decent amount of people like returning and buying from you to begin with. Because if they go to your website and you have like no testimonials, no social, like if you have nothing there, you're going to look like, you're going to not look trustworthy. So that's why it's important to actually get some customers. I mean, we'll expand out of Google for a second and just say, you know, develop some sort of email campaign to re-engage people who've purchased in the past, to leave testimonials so you can put those on your site. You need to look like you're not going to scam people, and don't scam people, okay? But I lost my train of thought. But yeah, be a good person. You can use PMax to start, I would say, and you could probably just toss all of your like. I would toss my competitors in there. I would toss website traffic. I would toss email list. Did I say purchasers? Okay, I don't know. And then and then you could start from there. Maybe and we know what PMax might do. PMax just might retarget, but you know what? In that case, maybe that's fine, because maybe that's going to give you proof of concept where you can start spending enough and earning a positive ROAS, and maybe that positive ROAS will justify you spending more on marketing. And in turn of you doing that, you are consistently generating customers, sales. The revenue should incrementally be growing, even if you're re-engaging that one base. And that's where you can start to grow outwards, because enough people are kind of going. So you start at the bottom, then build up.
Yeah, I think a lot of times in those cases, like we get so adamant about like everything being like new customer focused. I think in these scenarios, like you have to let yourself be okay with PMax kind of just retargeting, and because it is okay, because you need to rely on some of that customer base when you're starting from a place where you might not have a whole lot of like testimonials or social proof that you need in order to kind of start leveraging more people that are going to be coming in from top of funnel stuff.
Yeah. Engage that base of people who know you, so you can get your motor running and start to explain. Justify more.
I think I have the perfect example for this when we're talking about bottom of funnel to top of funnel. And I think it comes to the easiest one. I feel like we talked about it a lot. We don't give an example of whatever the heck we're talking about. The easiest example I can think of is like people selling existing brand products. Like Colby, you're selling just I don't know. Colby's got 3 kids. He's got baby strollers, I assume. So he's selling baby strollers from like certain brands, right? Or like car seats from certain brands. People are aware of these brands, right?
That's such a
For
good
some,
place to be in too, I think, with
yeah,
this, because
there's
you
so
can
much
get
money in
away.
there. Anyways, we'll get there. But the point is like what I'm trying to say is that you start bottom of funnel in the sense like go target those brand terminology, right? Because
Mhm.
if there's like I think Garco was like Garco Model 6
Oh,
3000
Garco.
is
Okay. I thought you said like Garcol. I'm like, what is Garcol?
Gargoyle. Garco,
Garcol.
I remember because I ran ads for one.
Mhm.
Model something
Or isn't
3000.
it
Go
Great
target.
Code?
Great, bro. I'm freaking ESL. Let me finish my train of thought,
Vintage
Colby.
branding. All right, continue,
Like,
Doctor.
jeez. But see, now I lost it. Now I lost it.
Here.
You
No.
were talking about
Um,
gargoyles.
no, we're talking about. Yeah, give me a breath. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, let's just talk about
Something
this. We
like
have
yeah.
Samsonite, Travel Pro, and these are like different brands that sell products. They sell luggages, right? People know of these brands. They know of these products. They know like of the specific type of products that certain brands have. Those are the
But they
most bottom of funnel.
probably have never heard of luggageonline.com.
Exactly. But they've
But
probably
it
never
doesn't
heard of
matter.
these those. So you go after all those product terms, the product, the branding. That's your bottom of funnel, right? Now that's your bottom funnel. Now you know of like all these people looking for these products. You target these first. Once you've exhausted that amount of term we are talking of targeting these brand names, these product names, these SKUs and whatever, then you go a little bit more outbound. You go further up the funnel. What is the further up the funnel? Travel cases, those types of terminologies, all right? And now you've hit that. Eventually, you'll hit a wall there. Then you go farther up the funnel where you go into more awareness stages, things like Facebook, YouTube, and that kind of stuff. Cool. Like, guys, if at that point you're targeting people who are like people that aren't ready to purchase right now, but you want to stay top
ten
of mind of
thousand
that for
dollars.
when they do need. Damn, that's
Ten
$10,000.
thousand dollars
That
for that.
when they do need a product or like a bag, they know to come to I guess luggage online.
I'm going to luggageonline.com to get. Scroll up. Go to the top left corner. What is that? The FPM Milano exclusive workstation. Let's pause what we're doing and I need to see what's going on here. Why would I want to spend $10,000? Oh my God.
It's a whole desk. That's why.
For the record, none of us work with this brand. This
Yeah.
is just completely random. So enjoy
I
your
think this is
free
more fun. Yeah.
advertising,
Maybe.
luggageonline.com.
Yeah. But can you imagine? I mean, you could just go to a coffee shop and spend like $5 on a coffee and work for the morning, and then you don't need that $10,000 bet. But there's rich people and they do rich people things. And if you're
Yeah,
an
what if you're
advertiser,
at some junky airport that doesn't have a coffee shop and you need a mobile desk in your suitcase with a chair?
well, hey, that sounds like great top of funnel marketing. A great top of funnel marketing opportunity for
Basically,
luggageonline.com because they don't know they have the problem. But it's
yeah.
what are you going to do when you are at an airport with your computer? There's nothing you could possibly do. You need the FPM Milano exclusive workstation.
That's so funny. But to end it before we derail completely, start as bottom as you can if you're
Yeah.
limited by budget, and then as you grow, expand outwards. That is all. Thank you.
Do I
Spend
have
all your
anything
money
else
on
to say?
brand.
Yeah, no. I think,
Give
yeah,
Usama a
moral of the
raise,
story.
Colby. Colby needs to pay Osama all his money. And Andrew needs to, I don't know what Andrew needs to do. He lost it.
Need to think of more topics for us to talk
I'll
about.
give you 3 grapes.
I'll take them.
Okay, I'll
You
send
have
them
to
in
feed
envelope.
them. You have to feed them to him.
No, you have to come and then feed them to me like
Yeah.
yeah, while I lay there while you're fanning me.
The things I do for this conversation.
Right.
All right. Well, I think that's good for this video at least. So thanks for listening to our ranting, and we'll have something good or maybe not good.
Yeah, the next podcast
No, I
or
think
whatever
next
this is,
video-
I'll be talking from the FPM Milano. All right, folks, today we are going to talk about what is portfolio bid, when do you use it, and what does it look like in action. I think this is the first time we've ever started a meeting